How you guys doing? Welcome in here to Rover Sports. We're going to do a little live show tonight, a little live show edition here, a little StreamYard, and we'll just talk about the pro days basically that these two guys had. We had today, we had Mac Jones and Justin Fields, and I even might release a video today on both of these guys, both of these quarterbacks. And yeah, I'll be here for about maybe 15, 20 minutes doing a video here, doing a little stream, talking about these guys and responding to your comments as well. I really appreciate MH, the compliment. I'll tell you what, the 49ers fans, they clearly want Justin Fields, and he had a very, very impressive workout today. I have not been a Fields guy. I don't think I am a Fields guy in terms of him being an unbelievable NFL starter. I am kind of motivated to root for Mac Jones because I think that he is getting disrespected online, certainly getting body shamed online. That's part of, playing quarterback, and I think that Mac can block out the noise. I think that Mac Jones is a really accurate quarterback, and he can throw the ball 60 yards. So he does have a lot of that arm strength. And I actually liked how he was overthrowing receivers. I like how Mac Jones, I think his motion is more repeatable than Justin Fields. And I really think that right now I'm a big Daniel Jones. You could say I'm a big Daniel Jones doubter. I gave him a lot of chances. I am excited to see what this offense will look like with the Giants with Daniel Jones. But with the draft, I was the one guy who didn't want Haskins, and I was cool with Daniel Jones getting. I was cool with Daniel Jones being there. In terms of the guys like Fields, Lance, and Mac Jones, I think Mac to me is actually, I know I said Trey Lance is the most talented quarterback in the class, but if I'm a GM, I'm going with Mac Jones. And I know it's not going to be popular with the fan base, but the reason I'm going with Mac is I'm going with accuracy. He has a quick release. I know he can't extend plays whatsoever, but I don't think Justin Fields is that good at extending plays. And then Trey Lance is just not going to be on my draft board. I don't want to spend that kind of price on a quarterback that's only played 1 year of FCS football that's that young. That you don't get a chance to go out to dinner with him. You don't get a chance to meet him at all, be around him or his teammates on Zoom. At least with Mac Jones and Fields, you get Kirby Smart. You get Justin Fields' whole career. He was in the microscope of high school. And you know that Justin Fields, you know that his teammates really like him. So for me, it'd be between Mac and Justin. Because with Mac and Justin, I have a framework of reference, okay? I know Nick Saban. You can look at Mac Jones' studying habits. And even though Mac didn't play, even though he only played 1 year as well, he still got time the following year. And he got time in big games and big spots. And you've got receivers, and you got Nick Saban up there at North Dakota State playing the competition. If Trey Lance turns out to be a great quarterback, so be it. So be it. Good for that team that took that risk. Sometimes there are going to be good quarterbacks in the NFL, but do you want to be that team that drafts Trey Lance within the top 20? I don't think I'd want to be that general manager to do it. I'm just not going to do it because I don't know enough about the character. I don't know enough about the kid. He's very young. He only played 1 year of FCS football. I'm not going to draft a Trey Lance. I'm going to draft a Mac Jones. That's what I'm going to do. So I think that Trey Lance is extremely talented. Maybe in the 20s or the 15s, somebody will land a gem. If you're the Patriots, you're like a win now team. You might get a chance at a Trey Lance. You take a risk and you play him immediately. You got to be like a Bill Belichick who's swinging for the fences to go with a Trey Lance. Maybe San Francisco's doing that, but do they really want Trey Lance behind Garoppolo. I don't see how Garoppolo and Lance would really I don't see how they'd get along. I don't see how Jimmy G would help a Trey Lance. That's why I think it's Mac Jones, because Jimmy G and Mac play like a very similar style. And put it this way, if Jimmy G wasn't hurt, the 49ers won't be drafting a quarterback if Jimmy G wasn't hurt. His record is impeccable there. He's good enough to win a Super Bowl. He came within 2 minutes of winning a Super Bowl. And that's what happens. QB Film Room, one of my favorite guys here on the show. And QB Film Room, I mean, he loves Lance. He likes Justin Fields. Today, we could talk about the pro day, absolutely. If the 49ers get Zach Wilson because the Jets want a Trey Lance, I mean, there is stuff about Zach Wilson, the captain stuff, the wealth that is accumulated. Is he a cocky kid? Do all of his teammates like him? We know that some like him. Does every teammate like Zach Wilson, or is he very, very arrogant? The way Zach Wilson played, he only played 1 year, kind of like Trey Lance, but we kind of have 3 years of sample size. He's been in the limelight at BYU a little bit. He's a little bit like Trey Lance, actually, but I think that Zach Wilson is just a little bit more accurate than Lance. I think that his throwing motion is cleaner right now than Trey Lance's. I'm going to say that. And the mobility and throwing to his left, I think he's a more accurate passer than Trey Lance really was in his first year. And Trey Lance, he didn't throw the ball that often. Zach Wilson, you really got a lot of exposures of Wilson in a Jeff Grimes offense. But this is going to be really, really exciting with Lance, Fields. All these guys kind of have opportunities to be good. Reality is only 3 of them will potentially be pretty dang good. And then next year, we're going to do this all again with Carson Strong and Spencer Rattler. But give me one moment. There is a game going on in the background. I hope I don't get copyrighted. All right, we're back, guys. We're back. Made it back pretty quick time. Good exercise in the house here. But you talk about Mac. I like Mac Jones a lot. I mean, yeah, if he gets pressured, he can certainly fail. But the way the guy studies the game, he's a great worker. I'm trying to figure the quarterbacks who have really failed. I mean, you still have Daniel Jones out there. Most quarterbacks are really not failing like within the first round. I mean, let's go back to 2016 and do this exercise. Let me go back to 2016 NFL drafts. So now we could discuss the quarterbacks. So like maybe a Marcus Mariota, the reason he failed is nothing about his work ethic. It's all about his arm strength was just really weak to several parts of the field. Carson Wentz, I mean, you have Carson Wentz and Jared Goff, correct? You have those two guys. So Jared Goff, if you're comparing Jared to Mac Jones, you can make a decent comparison because both of those guys are pretty cerebral kind of guys. Now, Jared Goff's throwing motion is actually not very good, and Jared Goff at least got to a championship. I think Mac is a little more athletic than Jared Goff, but you look back to Jared Goff, he has all the intangibles. His teammates really love him. He's really, really a good guy. And in Detroit, he's going to work out. With Carson Wentz, you know, yeah, he was the 4-0 guy, maybe a little bit like Zach Wilson, maybe looking back on it, a little aloof, maybe with his teammates. We know that Mac loves his teammates. I don't think Mac's going to turn out like Carson. I think Fields, I don't think Fields is could Fields turn on people and teammates? Listen, the thing at Georgia was a complicated situation. He seems to be liked at Ohio State. It is possible, but it's something you have to consider down the line, what quarterbacks are going to want to stick with their teams, because you have Russell Wilson now who wants out. Deshaun Watson did not like his situation at all. Carson Wentz did not. So when you draft a quarterback, is this guy going to be content playing for you? And you look at Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Baker Mayfield, some of these guys are playing. My favorite prospect, that's a great question about the wide receiver position. I would say Devontae Smith is probably my favorite. Personality-wise, receiver-wise, he just makes plays. He's a great football player. His play speed, I think he could get off of the line of scrimmage. I like him more than a Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase had Justin Jefferson. He had a great offensive coordinator. So I am going with on this pick. I am going to go with Devontae Smith as my favorite receiver in this draft. I think the Giants at 10, they absolutely need Devontae Smith, who could separate quickly, because you have Kenny Galladay. Galladay can get off of press man, but who's going to be the guy that's really fast, who's better in the intermediate routes? That is going to be Kenny Galladay. But King Braz, talking about Mac Jones, I know the 49ers fans they want a mobile quarterback. They're tired of the Kirk Cousins archetype. They want a Justin Fields, and Fields looked very good at his pro day. I don't think Fields, when the play breaks down, even though he's very fast and a great athlete, I don't think he has a tremendous feel off script for the game. At the college level, I did not think that he did. I think Mac would be very successful with Juszczyk, George Kittle, the types of receivers doing bubble screens. I think he would fit in really well with the Niners. I think he's well worth the first pick. He had a tremendous season. He's very accurate. I think he could certainly play quarterback in this league. He can throw the ball 60 yards. He has really good arm strength. I was actually very impressed with Mac Jones throwing the deep ball. I think he could be a little Phil Rivers, a little Eli Manning, a throwback to a good quarterback. And I know that that's unpopular because you have guys like Kyle Trask, and you have quarterbacks that even a Josh Rosen was so unathletic or, outside of the pocket, or you also have like a Kyle Trask that is just not athletic either, that can't get outside of the pocket. But I think Mac Jones has that zip on the football that is really going to be very, very valuable. So you have Goff and Wentz. I want to go to another draft. I want to go to 2017 draft is what I'd like to do. So the 2017 draft, the quarterbacks that are taken, you have Trubisky. All right, that's an interesting one. Trubisky's very mobile, so he's good for the modern NFL. He has pretty good arm strength, but a pretty hard worker. You look at Trubisky, though, only 1 year on tape. So that's not good. You only have 1 year on tape. That's similar to a little bit of Wilson, a little bit of Trey Lance. But the thing is, I think Wilson and Lance have bigger arms. I really do. They're just more talented throwing the football. But again, yeah, it's a little bit risky. But you look at Trubisky too, and compared to Deshaun Watson was a million times more accomplished than Mitchell Trubisky. Deshaun Watson had a good throwing motion. Deshaun Watson can make plays on the run. Top Streams, how you doing? So Norm Vasquez, again, I'm sure you're arguing with so many Niners fans that they really hate on Mac Jones, and they look at him. He is a pudgy kind of individual. The pro day between Fields and Jones was not close. I mean, Fields is a better athlete. He has just as good of arm strength, but in the games, I mean, you could argue that Mac Jones had Sark and these great things around him. Fields had a tremendous college career. I get the argument for Justin Fields. I do, because he was so good in college. He was excellent throughout his whole career. I just think the throwing motion, it's a loopy release, and it's a guy that when his first read's not there, he kind of panics a little bit, like against Northwestern and Indiana. And when Ryan Day, he was scheming up perfect offense for Justin Fields. So he was scheming up perfect offense off of play action. And once again, his pocket was pristine, just like Mac Jones. So I'm tired of, Mac had all day. Justin Fields had all day too. I think Lance again could be very good, but if you're a GM doing this, he's the guy that you pass on because you just, you don't know enough about him. You don't want to put your name next to a Trey Lance. You let Trey Lance ball out, but you stick with a Mac Jones. You know everything about him. You know he's going to come in. You know he's going to get the culture right. And you know that he's going to be a tremendous, tremendous teammate. I just think Mac, the way he interacts with his teammates, the way he jokes around, I mean, I think he's a special kid. I don't think he's like Zach Wilson. I think that he's even more active as a teammate than Trevor Lawrence is. The fact he was on scout team, the rise of that, maybe I just like the kid personally, but I would roll with Mac Jones. I just think it's a perfect fit for San Francisco. And also, maybe I'm getting motivated by all the hate of Mac Jones. I love guys that people hate on. Like even Jared Goff. I used to not like Jared Goff, but nowadays going to Detroit, I always love a guy that people pick on. And in this process, it's been Mac Jones. It's been a little bit of Justin Fields, actually. So you look at Mahomes. Mahomes could be like Trey Lance, a guy that only played like a couple of years in college, guy who has an unbelievable pro day. The thing about Mahomes is he's very good in the pocket. He's tremendous at with Andy Reid. He sat for a year. His leadership skills are incredible. So, you look at Mahomes, the leadership skills, his ability to connect with teammates in the city of Kansas City. If Lance gets in a really good offense, if Lance has wonderful weapons, if he gets that coach around him, and then Lance, if he embraces the city and embraces his teammates, if he does all of that, Lance can be really good. But once again, these guys, when you're a GM, you have no dinner, you have no exposure to his coaches or any teammates here with Zach Wilson or Trey Lance. These 1 year guys, it's a huge risk, the quarterbacks here. I think Zach Wilson had a ridiculous season last year. He'd probably be, as crazy as it sounds, Zach Wilson was that good last year. Then you look at Trevor Lawrence and Mac Jones. Lawrence is just too athletic when you compare Lawrence and Mac Jones. Lawrence is too athletic, too good in college to not take. And then you look at Mac Jones. I think Trevor Lawrence, too, has a better throwing motion than Justin Fields does. So I'm worried about the throwing motion of Fields. I think everything else is there. If the throwing motion, if Fields can play improvisational football, I just don't think Fields can improvise. I think the Jets are going with Zach Wilson 1,000%. I think that Jones and Shanahan, too, are a perfect. Denver, looking for the quarterback. There's no doubt about it, unfortunately, for Drew Lock, that George Patton, he shipped out Phillip Lindsay. There is no doubt that the Denver Broncos are interested in maybe Justin Fields or Trey Lance, especially at their point in the draft. And then you look at Cincinnati at number 5. I think Cincy's still going to take a player. Miami's going to take a player. I think Miami's got to go with Smith, and Cincy's got to go with Jamar Chase. But I don't think Cincy will have the balls to take Jamar Chase. They'll probably go with Penei Sewell. Then I think the Dolphins will go with Jamar Chase because they just don't like pairing college players together. It's pretty weird like that. Then I think Devontae Smith, as sickening as it would be, I don't know if the Giants have the balls again to not draft an offensive lineman. The Giants should have the balls to draft Devontae Smith. You got to stack your receivers together with Daniel Jones. You look at Nate Solder's going to come back. He was terrible a couple of years ago, but he wasn't fully healthy. You have Matt Pearl. You have Andrew Thomas at the tackle spots. I think you got to go with Devontae Smith. When are you going to get a receiver of Smith's caliber at the 11th for the 10th pick? It's ridiculous. You're going to let Smith go to the Eagles and torment you? That would be as stupid as ever. You got to take Devontae Smith. You look at the Denver Broncos though, and the Lions. I think that they're going to trade up in this draft. Denver will trade up specifically. I really think Atlanta, if Atlanta does Atlanta, that would be weird if Atlanta takes their 4th quarterback on the board. Atlanta takes pick number 4. I think that would just be pretty strange unless they love 5 quarterbacks. I think that it's a strange decision because in future drafts, you can maybe have the 15th pick and get like a 3rd quarterback or a 2nd quarterback. I don't think you should fall in love with a quarterback prospect. You're in your first year. Arthur Smith's in his first year there. If it's to me, it's Mac Jones, Lawrence, and Wilson. And then the other guys, Fields. If you love Fields' playing style, you think that the hitch in the release is not going to be a problem. I get Fields. Lance for Atlanta, that is a huge risk for a first-year head coach to do. I really do believe that. And then you're going to have to play him eventually. You have Matt Ryan there. I think Atlanta is a perfect team to accumulate picks, because then you can kind of be with Matt Ryan, but then to the future, you get picks. I think Atlanta is a perfect place to get picks, and Atlanta is not going to trade with Carolina, so that leaves the Denver Broncos. I get the Fields thing. I'd want Fields more than Trey Lance. I think Fields and Shanahan's relationship. Fields is a very, very likable player. He's been through adversity, had to go from Georgia to Ohio State. The character is off the charts of Justin Fields, the leadership stuff. So I'm going to root for him to really do well at the NFL level. Yeah, I mean, Trey Lance in Denver, now that would be interesting. That would be like around the picks of and that would be an interesting pick, like at 8 or 9. It really would put pressure on Locke. You'd have Locke versus Lance. It would be an incredible quarterback battle. That's for sure. Great question, Norm, about 17 games. Great question. As this game's UCLA and Michigan's a rock fight, it's 4-all. I do not like the 17 game season. I do not like it at all. The reason I do not like the 17 game season is because 16 games is perfect. Because 16 games is an even number. You have 4 preseason games and 16 games. Players are getting injured. You're concerned about player safety. The extra wild card game was horrific. I mean, you had that Bears-Saints game was such a horrible, horrible game. I mean, even the Rams and the Seahawks, that game was not even fun to watch, the Rams-Seahawks game. Then you had Taylor Heineke come in. It was okay. But come on. I mean, you're adding an extra game to the regulars. I know that everybody might want 20 football games. Are you guys really watching spring football? Are you watching Division II college football? You're probably not, because football, again, it's special because it's 16 games. You have fantasy football. Each game is so valuable. It's why the NBA and baseball, we do not live and die. Some people might on the stream, but we do not live and die with every game of the season in basketball or baseball. But football at 16 games has been perfect for our NFL lives. We've loved every second of it. And now the fact that some teams get 9 home games, some teams are only going to have 8 home games, it messes up everything. The eternal clock, nobody's getting rest. You're not protecting the players at all. Maybe it's an opportunity. I don't know who's going to get paid in this thing. Maybe the players get more money. The TV deals are probably better. It's probably from TV. I don't think the 49ers are going to take Trey Lance. I don't think so, because Shanahan wants a guy who's incredible at dissecting defenses. And you have Ryan Day, who has very complex passing concepts. And Fields has played so much football, has been in the limelight, has known Shanahan for a long time, highly touted. Trey Lance was a cornerback in high school. He has a very high ceiling, right? The ceiling, like Mahomes, is there. But Lance has only been playing quarterback a couple of years. I mean, I think that he played a different position in high school. I think he was a late developer as a quarterback, and he only played 1 year in his freshman year, where with Trey Lance, he was at a pro-style system with Jim Chaney and Jake Fromm. Then he went and played 2 years of full-on football. And you saw him this year against Clemson. He tears his rib cage, and he still goes out there and outduels Trevor Lawrence right there for the game. I mean, his college career is ridiculous. So I believe that you have Mac Jones, who I believe is safe. If you like Fields' game, it's Fields or Jones to me. The Trey Lance to me is a 1-year guy that has a great pro day, that played 1 year of FCS football when he was a freshman. Man, are you relying? And he hasn't played in over a year, and now you can't even meet with the guy. That is just such a risk to trade all those draft picks for a guy who hasn't played in a year, a guy who was under-recruited out of high school, a guy that plays at a run-heavy offense, and a team at North Dakota State where Easton Stick and Carson Wentz, you're going to win all the time there. And I just would not do that. I would not do that this year. So he starts some games. Yeah. He's very mobile. He's a good quarterback. He has a better release than Justin Fields. I'm going Mac at number 3. But I mean, Fields, Brandon, it wasn't just one game. I mean, this guy played decent against Clemson. His freshman year, he played great against Penn State. He played a Big Ten schedule, and I believe that Ohio State they won the Big Ten championship both years with Justin Fields. He was a Heisman candidate for 2 years, played great football 2 years. And Niner by nature, that's exactly right. So I think Lance is a much bigger risk. Hasn't played Division I football. You don't know his coaches. Do you really think that the coaches are tight? Do you think Shanahan is tight with the North Dakota State coach? You really think that they're going to get amazing intel from North Dakota State? I don't think so, but I think Shanahan can get great intel from Alabama and Ohio State. That's what I would focus on, the intel from Alabama and Ohio State based on these kids, because people on their coaching staffs. North Dakota State in the FCS out there in North Dakota, when you cannot even visit a kid this year with COVID, there is no chance that I would do that as a general manager. I think that's a good point. That's a good point about Trey Lance calling his own protection. So that's a point to the pro style argument. Lance could very well be good. I'm not ruling out Lance. I would actually rank Lance 4th behind Mac Jones, just in terms of rankings of guys that I think are going to be successful, because Lance has a chance to be a mega talent. I look at Justin Fields. I'm worried about the release. I'm worried about how he improvises in the pocket, but I could sell you on any of these guys. I could sell you on any of these guys. It's a great debate. I think Lance is a million times more risky than I just think Mac should be the pick. I mean, because you have Justin Fields, who has some bad tape out there this past year against Northwestern and Indiana, even though, he led his team to the national championship. He played on an unbelievable team. I think that Mac is the pick. I told you Mac is my favorite guy at number 3. And Trey Lance, I'm just a little worried about Trey Lance, because it can go either. It's a little like Jordan Love. It could go either way. And Jordan Love and Trey Lance, they're very similar prospects. Jordan Love goes 25. He loses his coach, his offensive line. I think that Jordan Love was exactly what Trey Lance kind of is. And I don't know why Trey Lance is so much more valuable than Jordan Love. Maybe it's his running style. I know Jordan Love had a bad season, but again, his coach left him. All the receivers left him at Utah State. I think he had Najee Harris, who's a very good running back. He had Devontae Smith, who's a really good wide receiver. I thought he still played great against Florida. I mean, he put up, 61 points in that game? I mean, Mac Jones was as accurate as any quarterback. He had one of the greatest college quarterbacking seasons, probably top 5 all time. Cam Newton, but he could truck people over. He was very good for like a year or two. It's a shame. And then he barely could win in the playoffs. I mean, but he kind of had bad coaching. He never had a great receiver. He wasn't the best passer, but he was damn good. Maybe Fields can be like that. That's a good career if Justin's like that. It's not. I don't think Cam's a Hall of Fame guy. He didn't do it long enough. He won an MVP, a little like Matt Ryan. Justin Herbert was quiet, didn't win in college, played 4 years, and didn't run complex stuff at Oregon, but was quiet and didn't win huge. But at least you had 4 years of tape on Oregon. I agree. I'm going with Mac. I don't know if Justin. I'm not taking Trey Lance. You don't have enough. You're going to have trouble getting information. I just think that Trey Lance. You have a pro day, and I'm going with Mac Jones. I mean, this roster is really good right now. You start Mac day one, and he could do what he did in college, and then you don't have to like wait around with Trey Lance. I mean, this is a win now kind of team. You have Bosa, you have D Ford. This defense is great. I mean, you look at the Rams are a decent team, but Cliff Kingsbury's not that good of a coach. Seattle's in real turmoil this offseason, having a terrible offseason with Russell Wilson being unhappy, Pete Carroll drama about him retiring. You look at the NFC now. I think the NFC is kind of open. The Giants are starting to get a little bit better, but the NFC East, the Eagles are down. The Dallas Cowboys are down. You look at the NFC South's not good. Drew Brees ends up retiring. The 49ers with a competent quarterback are right there. And I think Mac can take them there. Mac is my number for Mac. Mac is the choice. Mac is the choice. He's a better thrower than Justin Fields. And Afghanistan, how you doing? I think that Teflon, I really think that Mac Jones is more accurate. He has much bigger arm than Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy Garoppolo can't throw it 45 yards. Mac can throw deep balls all day long. You're gonna love Mac Jones. He's gonna light it up. He's gonna make Ayuk look really good. He's gonna make all these guys look really good. I mean, Justin Fields cannot play outside of the pocket. I mean, you might look at him run a 40, but he does not have instincts. He does not have instincts outside of the pocket. Against Northwestern and against Indiana, when his first read's not there, he panics and struggles. And also, he's got that loopy Blake Bortles-esque release. Look at him throw the football. Mac Jones has a concise throwing motion. The ball will get out quickly. Justin Fields has to do a full windup just for him to get ready to throw the ball. Is Justin Fields, could he maybe fading left in a pro day, but have you ever seen him really make that throw in a game setting? No. So I don't trust Justin Fields. The running game, you're right. Justin Fields is a very good runner. The RPO stuff is there. From pure pocket passer, I mean, I just think Mac is a lot more accurate than Lance and Fields. I think that Lance can overthrow guys, certainly. You look at the completion percentage of Lance. Lance isn't throwing the ball that much. He only throws like 18 times a game against, I think Lance is not throwing the ball enough. Lance is a good deep ball. Does he dominate the intermediate game with slants and throwing guys open in a scheme like Shanahan? I mean, you gave up so much. You gave up a ton, so much. Maybe I am wrong about Justin Fields and the loopy release. It is possible that I am wrong. It is possible, but I'm going to give you my opinion. Woo. And you're right about Mac Jones and not being that athletic. And the ceiling is not near a Herbert ceiling. The ceiling's not near Josh Allen. You're right, because he can't. You're right. Him extending plays isn't as pretty as the other guys, or it's just, you're right. Certainly about the mobility being somewhat of a concern. I still think he's going to be a really good quarterback, an all-pro, like a Tony Romo-like career. He plays a little bit like Romo. I'm telling you, a little like Romo, Phillip Rivers. You could say that those guys are older. You might say Romo's a better improviser. I think a little Eli Manning, Tony Romo-esque, like a Pro Bowler can win Super Bowl championships. Great competitor. I think you guys should be really happy with Mac. I really think that he's going to win a ton of games. Just the preparation level is just, stuff you hear is just crazy. Yeah, Lance could end up being good. I don't think you're going to regret it because this is a guy that, again, is like a one-year kind of quarterback. You have Zach Wilson who played at BYU, but at least Zach Wilson, you can argue about Zach Wilson's competition. I think Zach Wilson was more accurate than almost anybody. He did some freaky things on tape. I think Lance is very good. He's very like Jordan Love-esque. He's similar. But again, I think I don't think Lance is he going to stay in one spot, be a franchise quarterback out of North Dakota State? I don't think he's going to stay in one spot. I think end of the first round, and then you're going to have to see how, you just have to do all the work with Trey Lance and stuff. I'm going with Mac. Mac is just the guy. But Trey Lance, to me, for the Steelers, great defense, the Saints, you insert him immediately. First 3 years, the league will have trouble adjusting to Trey Lance. First 3 years, let Trey Lance go, Like RG3, he could be that immediate pop. But then is Trey Lance going to be the consistent? Is he going to be the consistent model as a quarterback? Is he going to have a better long-term career than Mac Jones? I don't know. But I think that at the end of the first round, if you're the Steelers, you have Big Ben, who's not good anymore. Trey Lance offered you a better chance to win. You look at the Saints, who are a win-now team with good receivers, then you insert Trey Lance in the mix. Ooh, the Broncos GM loves Trey Lance. No, you're right. You're right about the DUI stuff. I think that was a long time ago. He is a fatter quarterback. But there's some guys that are overweight, like Big Ben Roethlisberger. But I don't know when that DUI might have been 5 years ago, 4 years ago of Mac. I think that if you ask Nick Saban, you ask all the guys, I think that they like Mac Jones's leadership. Listen to an interview of Mac Jones. The Bears. It's going to be fun. Whatever quarterbacks with Kyle, you're going to have a chance. Whatever quarterback ends up there. It's going to be fascinating. They're going to meet with Fields again. I know the fan base. Fields is a sexier player, so the fans are going to love it. You add that speed because they're tired of a pocket passer in San Francisco. You had Jeff Garcia. They want a quarterback that is truly can be elite, can take that next level, a little like Josh Allen, and that's what Trey Lance can offer you. If they're comfortable, if they love Trey Lance, they think that he's a perfect work environment. They think that they can work with Trey Lance. Like they look at Trey Lance and say, this guy, he'll come into our building, he'll own the room, he'll own the team, he'll lead the team. Teammates will absolutely love the guy. That's who you draft as your franchise quarterback. Do you love the guy? Do you want to work with the guy for the next 20 years? Is he a guy that you're going to enjoy preparing for a game for? Will he see things on tape, passionate about the game, and loves to study, loves the game, kind of like a Dak Prescott is, Patrick Mahomes is like that guy. There are certain guys in the NFL that are franchise guys. Carson Wentz was not the guy who loved preparing for the Eagles. And that is why Dak Prescott outlasted Carson Wentz. I'm trying to think. Daniel Jones is like a guy that is very coachable. That's why Daniel Jones is staying with the Giants, because Daniel Jones extremely coachable, very good leader by all accounts, takes blame when things don't go well. Kyle Trask, personality-wise, he's everything you kind of want. Just like Kellen Mond, by the way. Kellen Mond, a real sleeper, because Kellen Mond, from a military family, had to deal with Jimbo Fisher, Kevin Sumlin, coaching changes, very rigid style of quarterbacking, great preparation, incredibly smart kid. Like Kellen Mond's the type of guy. Also, Kellen Mond, Jimbo Fisher got on Kellen Mond. Kellen Mond, as a coach, you can really he won't be offended or sensitive to tough coaching. So Kellen Mond is an absolute rock star, potentially in the third round, as a guy that can maybe start, maybe be a gem in this draft. You have Kyle Trask, and he has good touch on the football, but kind of like Mac Jones, he's a bigger Mac Jones. He has trouble eluding the pocket. And unlike Mac Jones, his arm is actually a ton weaker than Mac Jones. He cannot throw at 60 yards. He throws it 40 yards. He has that Mason Rudolph type arm. He just does. He's tall, though. Tall, he's a good backup quarterback. Good backup. He doesn't have that pop, though. He's a 4th round quarterback. He's like Sam Ehlinger, 4th or 5th round for Kyle Trask, unfortunately. Threw some interceptions. Pitts would box out. Again, Kyle Trask and Kellen Mond, those 2 Texas guys, they were raised right by their parents. I mean, they're very tough, good kids. You want to bring kids like that in. But Kyle Trask, to me, is a guy that a little bit slow, lobs the ball a little bit. Kadarius Toney is absolutely an amazing receiver. Kadarius Toney, one of the most fun football players to ever watch is Toney. That guy, Toney, he's going to go like 17 in the draft. Toney and Terrace Marshall and Elijah Moore, are you kidding me with this receiver class? But Toney is a ridiculous. I think he's even more talented than Henry Ruggs, Kadarius Toney. He's the best cutter that I think we've seen. I think he's going to be juking guys out. You get Kadarius Toney on a dang team. Unbelievable. Davis Mills, I mean, I just, with Stanford, I just they didn't have a lot of success, but I should go back, look at the pro day, but didn't have a lot of success. But Rashad Bateman, Minnesota guy, rowing the boat, he did opt out, but still, I think a good guy by all accounts. Will he have that speed to really separate? I worry if he has the body and the framework to separate. I'm taking a Terrace Marshall over Bateman. I think he's like a 2nd round guy, late 2nd, early 3rd. So I agree with you, Raphael. Like, I don't really want Slater from Northwestern really that much at all. Waddle, depending on the health, I want Smith number 1 for the Giants. Smith is just perfect in every respect. He'll raise the competition level in the receiver room. He can beat press coverage. I just think Smith too, athletic. With Daniel Jones being an intermediate passer, those two will get in sync. Justin Fields, to me, Kevin, kind of recapping what we talked about today. This has been a really fun stream. Justin, to me, great kid. So I like the character of Fields. I think that, does he have a big arm? He does. But I think that when he gets outside of the pocket, he actually has trouble with instincts a little bit. And that he has too loopy of a throwing motion for my liking, too loopy of a release. I don't think it's going to be a consistent, accurate quarterback over the middle. I think that the release, being up here and having that chicken wing sort of release is going to really hurt Justin Fields. But we will see what will happen. Listen, with Kyle Shanahan, all things are possible. He would embrace the city. He's a kid that you root for, Justin Fields. I just have concerns about Fields. I don't think that Kyle Pitts to the Giants, because you already have Evan Ingram. You already have your athletic tight end. I did hear about that. That would rule out Mac Jones. I don't know about Kyle Shanahan. I think that Jones is perfect for Shanahan. I think Jones is perfect. So Trey Lance, to me, again, I think he could be really, really talented. He has a higher ceiling than anybody in the draft class. But I just, as a GM, I just don't know if I can do it. I haven't seen the kid play in a year. I'm all right letting him go somewhere else. I don't know if Trey Lance is going to stay in one location his entire career. And that's a kid you live with. Even Mahomes, going back to that draft, I would take, now Mahomes is the stud, but Deshaun Watson was the guy. It wasn't Mahomes. Mahomes in college was, he was okay. He had a great pro day as well. He had a pro day special. But no one knew Mahomes would be this incredible quarterback, and Andy Reid. And because when he was at Texas Tech, he could throw the ball long and everything, but you could have a Jordan Love. You look at DeShone Kizer, and Kizer had all the physical gifts as well. So sometimes those guys are unbelievable. Sometimes the guys are unbelievable, like I guess Josh Allen and I guess Mahomes, but Deshaun Watson's like that consistent college quarterback who still is damn good at the NFL. But that's why it was crazy to me. Deshaun Watson, man, I mean, that's just something, that we're going to have to see it play out, that situation with Deshaun Watson right now. Pretty wild, but it's definitely a hot water issue with Deshaun. But man, it is going to be a really fun draft. I mean, all the quarterbacks, the Mac Jones hate, I mean, is out there. It's probably why I love Mac Jones, because I just want to see like a guy succeed in the face of adversity. It's kind of a little bit like Daniel Jones. But at least Mac Jones, unlike Daniel Jones, at least he could throw a deep ball. The fact that he was overthrowing people, it didn't really bother me, because he was still at least has that in his arsenal. And Jimmy G's throwing a deep ball was not pretty at all. Boy, oh boy, this was a fun show. And your opinion's going to change on so many different people. You're either going to love Lance, you're going to love Justin Fields, you're going to love Mac Jones. What character do you like? Is the guy going to fit the locker room, the culture? Is he going to buy into all this stuff? That's why you look at Fields. You look at the 49ers. You even could have kept all those picks and got a Kellen Mond, who's a damn good quarterback in round 3 with Jimmy G. So that's why it's weird. I even think Kellen Mond would have fit this offense. So they gave up so much to go into the top 3. It's insane. Rondale Moore's special. He's just 5'7". It's just so tough when you're that small. So, like a little Darren Sproles, kind of like a late round 2 guy. Really special. I love Najee Harris, though. I do. I love everything about Najee Harris from the running back spot, ETN as well. Trey Lance absolutely has a little bit of Mahomes in him. So Trey Lance is that polarizing of a talent. He is. But again, Trey Lance, like, if you're going to pick Trey Lance, you got to figure out, like you got to study that tape from 2019 and see, is the stuff that's applicable to my offense? You have to look at everything from Trey Lance. You have to really go do your due diligence, try to interview, figure out everything you can on these guys. And luckily in the NFL draft, I mean, there's no stone left unturned. It's going to be the fit that Kyle wants. And Kyle's the only guy that matters. He's the guy that's coaching these guys. But this was fun, just getting out all our thoughts on these 2 guys. I might even do a little film review highlighting the positives and negatives. I wasn't too negative in this show or too polarizing here, but I gave you all of my opinions on all this stuff. So there you go. Thank you guys for watching. It was fun. You guys are the best. Great response on this episode. And take care, guys. I enjoyed it. Thanks for hanging out.